We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right, here it is. Welcome into Season 3, Episode 37 of the BCSN Nation podcast, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go, sports bar. Brandon Carnes here with Justin Feldkamp, and it's a baseball week. We got Bruce Johnson. Podcast with Bruce is here, ready to roll. Playoffs are in deep. We're into regional semifinals. Some teams have already punched their tickets, and we'll talk about them. But I want to know, guys, if you have a surprise team, a surprise performance player so far of this OHSAA playoff run. Yes, Bruce, go ahead and go first.
Yeah, I do, and it's the Clay Eagles. I honestly thought I covered them early in the year, and Clay has a tradition that everyone knows about. They lost 2 Division I pitchers at the start of the season. They moved on. I thought they were going to be too young to go this far in the tournament, and boy, was I wrong. Brandon Vargas is doing a great job as a freshman behind the plate. Bryce Besgrove has come on tremendously. Those 2 freshmen, only freshmen in your class. They are playing at a junior, senior level. The team has gotten hot. They're playing better defense. And watch out. I've already got their starting lineup. I'm doing their game today. Landon Eversman's going to the bump for them. No surprise. I think Clay's going to win today. And I really think this Clay team is a big surprise to me. Not that they wouldn't be good, but how good they've become.
Right. Maturing as the season's gone on, having those young guys step into roles that play major spots, right, once you get this deep in the playoff run. Justin?
All right, so I would say no surprises for Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne, St. Francis, Napoleon, Ottawa Hills, or Clay. Those are tradition-rich programs. We've talked about them on BCSN for years and years. Great coaches at the top of the helm. They have programs that are built from freshmen, sophomore, junior, and senior. So I won't mention any of those because we'll get to them as we break down their regional games here in just a second. But how about Evergreen, just outside our BCSN footprint, but many teams in our area will play them at some point and have played them potentially in the postseason. They were picked sixth in the NWAL preseason rankings. They finished tied for first with Archbold with a 6-1 record. I still wish that the NWAL would play home and away in baseball and in basketball, but that's just my 2 cents and maybe for another podcast segment. But first-year coach Chris Owens has senior leaders Lance Vance, Colton Robertson, John Herdman, Nolan Hudick, hitting 492, 375, 333, and Hudick on the mound doing really, really well. They're also into the regionals, so for them to represent that area, hats off to Evergreen. They're my surprise thus far.
There we go.
And they've got Colonel Crawford, and they can beat Colonel Crawford. Chris, who played at Defiance High School, knows what it's like to win these games, and he's instilling the message. That's a good pick by Justin right there.
Yeah, there's no replacement rate for experience when you get to this point of the season. Those who have it, relish it when you do. We've got plenty to get you caught up on the Northwest Ohio playoff picture on today's podcast. Of course, our clip of the week, game of the week, and so much more. Make sure you're here every single Wednesday. Your opportunities for the spring are coming to an end. We've only got a couple episodes of podcast left. Make sure you don't miss them. Every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Make sure you're following at BCSN Sports so you don't miss anything from Wednesday to Wednesday. And coming up this Sunday, BCSN Honors. We're going to take a look at the best teams, moments, players, coaches, everything for the 2024-2025 season. Go to the 3-shot here, Cisco. We got a beautiful trophy. You're going to go home with one of these trophies if you are the winner of one of these categories. We'll throw up the first one we're going to take a look at today, Cisco. Coach of the Year. A lot of real good teams, a lot of darn good coaches here in Northwest Ohio. We've got Chrissy Graven from Anthony Wayne, volleyball state runners-up. Andrew Skeels, back-to-back state champions for TC football. Coach Josh Linsky over at St. Francis, turning that program around, having a heck of a season. Jamie Carter now off riding into her retirement sunset, finishes a D2 state runner-up in basketball. And, of course, Travis Galloway taking that Notre Dame girls basketball team all the way to the state semifinals. 3-sport athlete, roll the first one. Natalie Sanders from Perrysburg. There you go. Here's your first tip. She is a winner for the 3-sport female athlete. Get this, 12-time OHSAA state qualifier in her time at Perrysburg. Getting them everywhere. Male 3-sport athlete. We'll talk about this guy in a little bit, too. Go ahead and hit it, Cisco. Yeah, Trey Rubenstein, you've heard us say his name constantly this year if you've heard the podcast. Getting it done, football, basketball, baseball, anywhere, everywhere, heading to Kent State. Now we've got our nominees for Athlete of the Year. Hit the first one, Cisco. Female athletes, Allie Peckham from Notre Dame soccer. Elise Bender, all-time great for Anthony Wayne basketball. Victoria Gray, Doesn't matter whether it's the basketball court, the volleyball court. She's getting it done, heading to IU. Haley Griggs, you saw her last week hit the OHSAA record-tying homer for Perrysburg softball, and Nyla King wins races, heading to OHSAA state meet as the top seed in the 100, 200, and 400-meter races. Male Athlete of the Year. Here we are, Drew Tucker at St. Francis. Football, hockey, baseball, another good nominee if we needed him for three-sport athlete. Marcus Blaze just, again, wins. 200 career wins, 2 career losses at Perrysburg. Makai Leach at Whitmer and Antoine West, those 2 backcourt mates for Coach Stacy and Carter Kester. Again, getting it done anywhere and everywhere. The Lord's basketball commit for TC. Last but not least, team of the year. Yeah, Anthony Wayne, good time to be a Generals fan this here season. Volleyball, state runners-up. Basketball, state runners-up. St. Francis boys basketball, that magical run to the state semifinals. TC football, like I said, back-to-back state champs. Perrysburg softball, NLL champions for the first time since 2018. Old Hills baseball still rocking. We'll talk about them later. Those are our final nominees that we'll talk about on the podcast. We'll catch you up on who got the trophies that Justin showed next week, but now it's time to get into baseball action. We'll start in Division I. Perrysburg taking on a very, very good Massillon-Jackson team Wednesday, June 4th. If you're listening right now, make sure you finish this and go over to BCSN Plus, get yourself a little view of that one. But this Jackson team, 28-3 on the season. Those 3 losses come to a combined 71-15 record for teams they faced. Bruce, you were saying this is a formidable foe for the Yellow Jackets.
It is. And if you know, Perrysburg will not be afraid of them. They won't be intimidated by them. And Dave Hall's going to tell them, we don't have to be the better team throughout the course of the year. We got to be the better team the next 2 hours, and we can do that. I think Perrysburg will come out. They'll play a great baseball game. I don't know if it's going to be enough. This is a real deal, this Massillon-Jackson team.
Sure.
But if anyone can take them down, I like the Perrysburg Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, both softball and baseball at Perrysburg have had to take on Massillon-Jackson. The softball team came up short, so hopefully the baseball team can come back with a vengeance. But this Perrysburg team, keep in mind, went to the state semifinals last year, lost 1-0 to Mason. You've brought it up before. The Gatorade State Player of the Year was on the mound for
Jack
Mason
Hanley.
and that. Yep. So this team, yes, they graduated seniors from last year's team that got that far, but there's still plenty of players like Braxton Mefford who were on that team and who have the experience and the know-how. And, okay, in these tense moments, I can keep my blood pressure down. I can keep the heartbeat normal, and we can go out and execute and make plays. Brendan Heitmeyer, Connor Kessinger, Tyler Palmer pitched Saturday, so he would be on 3 full days rest. The OHSA, Bruce, remind me, I'm not 100% sure on this, but with the Wednesday, there were some regional semifinals on Tuesday, and then the finals are Thursday. Anthony Wayne, one of them, we'll talk about in just a second. But with a Wednesday game and then followed immediately by a Thursday game, sometimes in years past, they have been separated by more than 24 hours. But it'll be interesting to see who Coach Dave Hall goes with to see if Palmer is back on there, because it's not necessarily quote unquote full rest.
Right. The state has guidelines for that. He could come back.
Right.
The situation is, I think in a perfect world, Dave Hall would like to see him later on.
Right. Need him.
But you got to get there first of all.
Sure.
I think Ferris may start today for them. I don't know. That's just speculation. I want to be clear on that. But whatever the situation is, Dave Hall will handle it correctly. And watch out for those Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, and it'll be a challenge just due to driving distance.
Right.
Like you bring this up all the time. It is what it is. The site is the site, but 25-minute drive for Jackson, 2 hours and 34-minute drive for Perrysburg. So that's a pretty wide discrepancy there. I'm curious if, enough appropriate and polite, loud voices get to Columbus in the OHSA offices and say, hey, just look at that simple fact. That's not opinion. That is a fact. And how that can be balanced out some way, somehow, because this is the first iteration of the expanded playoff. So you need a lot of fields available on the same day. So it's maybe a sticking point for some coaches who have to drive those greater distances. And my hunch is Perrysburg's not the only team who's having to do that.
Absolutely. We saw it, like I said, we've talked about many times, right? Whitmer basketball in the playoffs for that. They had so many miles they had to travel. That can catch up with you as you get deeper and deeper into these playoff runs. Runs will be at a premium tonight. Jackson has given up 47 runs all season long. We'll see if Perrysburg can break through that vaunted Jackson defense tonight, 5 p.m. on BCSN Plus. We'll be right back after 30 seconds from Buffalo Wild Wings. Keep this playoff train rolling. Hit it, Cisco.
Buffalo Wild Wings buy one, get one free. Boneless Thursdays saved me so much cash. I can finally do everything I've ever wanted in life, like skydiving. You ready? No, this was a mistake, a huge mistake. I want to go back. I want to go back. Go, go, go! Yeah, I'll probably just use the money I saved to get more buy one, get one free boneless wings at B-Dubs. No brainer. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
We are off to Division II. We'll start with the game that played last night. Anthony Wayne, dramatic 𝗏𝗏𝗵𝗁 walk-off win to advance. They beat Trenton Edgewood 3-2. We'll start there, Bruce.
Well, I'm going to start with an interesting fact. You got a Owen Graff on full rest. Ryan Donnelly decided not to start him and save him for a potential Loveland matchup, who they're going to have.
Yep.
He has so much confidence in Grant Urinovich and Carter Johnson. He doesn't think it's a step back, and they pitched lights out for them yesterday. I knew in the bottom of the seventh when Eli Donawa got on, they were in good shape.
Yep.
Keck was going to bunt the ball in the second hole, but he didn't need to. There was a wild pitch. Donawa gets to third. They get Keck out. They made the right decision in walking Potkanowicz, but 𝗏𝗏𝗵𝗁, when they needed him most, came up with a deep sacrifice fly, and the Generals move on. It's interesting. Ryan Donnelly isn't thinking just win the regional. He's setting his team up to win state.
Yeah, you look at that play right where Donawa got on first base, just a bad throw to first base, gets him all the way to third. That's like your nightmare scenario, right?
Yes.
We talk week in, week out, whether it's softball or baseball. Just make the routine plays, right? That's the difference. That puts the NLL Player of the Year on third base, and they darn near could have made a mistake throwing all the way from where that ball was overthrown, tried to throw it straight to third base. That could have been game over right there.
It could have been.
But then 𝗏𝗏𝗵𝗁 steps in, another multi-sport athlete, Justin.
Yeah, I love that. And the fact that they practice it. That in the post-game interview, Biedenhardt said, yeah, every single practice we put that into play in the sense of, okay, less than 2 outs, runner on third base, some way, somehow, elevate a ball, hit it with a little bit of power, enough power. It's hard for an outfielder to catch the ball with momentum going towards home plate in that tense situation, and then deliver a line drive throw that's going to give a catcher a chance to make a catch and then make the tag. So many things have to go right. So that's one of those things as a coach, you're saying, hey, let's put pressure on the defense. Let's make them make a play. And if they do make the play, tip your hat. If they don't make the play, you walk off win.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the cost-benefit principle there, and that's what Coach Donnelly did. And your point about Urinovich, he's great. And what I like about, they're go from one day to the next. You got Urinovich, who's not tall in stature, thick, but then 2 days later, Owen Graff, Ohio State commit.
Yep.
But it shows that you can get wins and pitch to contact and not strike out 13 batters like Owen Graff does, but you can find ways to win with a different style of pitcher who's hitting locations, who is allowing the ball to be put in play. And they only gave up 2 runs to an Edgewood team who reached the state or the regional semifinals.
There we go. We know one of those teams that will advance. The second team in Division II still going at it tonight, Wednesday. The fourth is the Clay Eagles. They will take on the Hudson, and we know Bruce will be there.
I'll be there, and I'm excited. The Hudson Explorers are a very good baseball team. And I think a key fact in today's game, if Clay can hold them to 4 runs or less, I feel really good about them.
Okay.
When Clay has gotten beat, they've gotten too far behind early. I think it's important they jump out, but they got their ace, Landon Eversman, going to the mound, and there's something to be said about teams that get hot at the right time. This Clay team walks into the stadium a little different, not cocky, just confident.
Right.
In their dugout, you can see a relaxed atmosphere. They feel good about themselves. I think Clay's going to win today.
Yeah, this game's at Oberlin College, a little bit of a equal distance for Clay, an hour and 26 minutes, and Hudson, a 1 hour drive for them. Bruce will be on the call with Kevin Peel for us on BCSN Plus. But you mentioned Brandon Vargas, the freshman catcher. You got Besgrove, the outfielder / first baseman, who's made some terrific plays, the diving catch earlier in the tournament. They got Eversman, like you mentioned, Darren Fussell, George Edwards, Jacob Wesseman, Coach Jim Phillips, leading these guys to the NLL Cardinal Division champs. So another team, remember, we brought this up a couple weeks ago. Clay lost their first game of the postseason last year in an upset. Southview took them down. I think that's playing a factor in this year's time
Right
around. Yes, you don't necessarily have 2 stars on the mound who went on to play college ball, but you got reinforcements and a retooled roster, so to speak, and you got contributions up and down from freshmen all the way up to seniors. So this is a game. I think all of these teams, I mean, we got a long list right here of all the games that are be playing on the BCSN Plus app. And I think all of them have a legit chance. Some of them may be more advantageous for others in our area, but I think all of them, no one is outmatched completely, and there's no way they can win.
You guys keep bringing this Bryce Besgrove guy up. We might as well hit clip of the week. Cisco, roll it. Clip of the week brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Bryce Besgrove, here it is, taking on St. John's here. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Comes flying in. Highway robbery is what we call that. He's not even in frame. Lays out, full send, makes the catch. A momentum play, right? Not every play has to be a highlight, but these are ones where you just get rolling. He joins his other freshman teammate. They've both made Renewal by Anderson clip of the weeks here on the podcast this season. The freshman doing all right.
I love it. Grade A mullet there. That's East Side Toledo mullet right there. So that is superb. Great play. Great haircut. What I like about this, Bruce, is I teach this at the coach this at the youth level. Time and situation. Know the scenario. You got a runner on first, nobody out. So let's say he dives and doesn't make this catch. One in there. He almost tried to double up the guy here. But if worst case scenario, doesn't make the play, and it's 1st and 3rd. Okay, he put it in the gap, so tip of the cap to the batter there. But when you do make the catch, you secure that out, and then you have a chance for the double up there. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to do that maybe when the bases are loaded and the winning runs at the plate type of deal or anything like that. So kind of know the time and space and know if you're able to go make that, where you got to gamble sometimes in sports, but it's calculated gambles. And this is a gamble that paid off.
Absolutely. And as a former coach and player, the thing I love about it, look at the center fielder. He peels off, goes behind him to back him up. That just tells me how well they're coached. They did everything right on this play.
Yep, having faith in your guy to go make the play. And worst case scenario, I'm right here behind you. That, avoids a disaster scenario where that ball gets through and something bad happens. You want more of this Bryce Besgrove catch? You haven't seen enough of it. Head over to our TikTok at BCSN Sports. It's our clip of the week for a reason. Good luck to them taking on Hudson tonight. And now we're moving on to Division 3. St. Francis taking on Rocky River. The lowest remaining seed in this bracket is Rocky River, the 13 seed. And boy, St. Francis, something we've talked about with these Catholic League teams, you play that iron sharpens iron schedule in the CHSL. Things feel pretty good when you get to playoff time.
I mentioned this earlier in the year. Colin Hennessy leaves St. Francis.
Sure.
Everybody thinks that's going to be a devastating blow. And Colin Hennessy is very talented. Don't get me wrong. Charlie Pastula has really stepped up. We know about Nick Hood. We know about Drew Tucker. We know about Julian Coleman.
Yep.
I'm telling you, this St. Francis team, their schedule readied them for the state tournament.
Without a doubt.
I think they will move on past Rocky River today. I think Bobby Edgell, this team from where they started this season to where they're at now, they're dangerous.
This sounds like a lacrosse matchup, Rocky River and St. Francis, but it's baseball in the diamond. In D3, only 5 of the state-ranked top 10 teams are still alive.
Correct.
So it's an open game for some. The rankings in softball are top 10. In baseball, they expanded out to 20. And St. Francis is ranked 20th, Rocky River ranked 13th. So again, equal playing field for the most part. We got Pete Seymour and Mark Nell on the call for this one. I'll throw some other names at you. Bruce listed off some. Cole Porvaznik has played well. Brady Mithy has played well. Coach Bobby Edgell really building this program. I remember we talked about this back in April in the sense that top to bottom, he's got a deep pitching staff. And I know you kind of tighten it up maybe in the postseason connected to basketball where your bench goes from maybe 10 to 7 or 9 to 7 type of deal. You tighten up the pitching rotation and maybe guys you can really rely upon. You're not necessarily giving opportunities to maybe unproven players at this stage in the season. So you're relying upon those guys to go get it done. And I think they have proven that, and they got some valuable experience throughout the regular season, but they've also added up some wins. St. Francis has done a solid job from the beginning of the season to now.
Yeah, we talked about it with every other sport, like even just challenging yourself in the regular season. CHSL, right? They have no choice but to play those games, but it's going to make you better. We talked about Anthony Wayne playing really good teams throughout the season. They get here and they say, all right, we've beaten teams better than this. We have played teams better than this. Of course, Rocky River hot at the right time, like all these other teams, to get to where they are. This game, just like the others, 5 p.m. Wednesday, the 4th on BCSN Plus, and we'll keep this thing rolling down to Division 4 now. Napoleon taking on Cleveland Benedictine, 5 p.m. And this Napoleon team, whether they're blowing teams out or getting clutch runs, Eric Hirschberger, the walk-off run against Wauseon, and then just domination, 14-2 over a great Lake Flyers team.
Yeah, and you know, Owen Espinoza, who was the co-player of the year in the NLL,
yes,
his bat's gotten hot. Him and Trey Rubenstein make a great duo on the mound.
And on the football field.
And, well, yeah, Eric Sprague's done a tremendous job. Cal Bickle's playing some of his baseball of his career. They are coming together at the right time. And I can't tell you, I think Eric Sprague is one of the best coaches in the area. He knew they were going to be good. They were tested by that tough NLL schedule.
Absolutely.
They lost the league on a walk-off home run by Fussell out at Clay High School. They didn't hang their heads. They came back and battled, and I think they'll get by Benedictine.
Yeah, this is a team that needed a walk-off earlier in the postseason against Wauseon. So that just kind of shows you it's not necessarily teams who have gotten to this regional that it was easy through the districts. Sometimes you have those hiccups, and not necessarily a hiccup. Like Wauseon's a solid team. Teams that are battle-tested come to play, and especially if you're a Napoleon team who has been in the state rankings. Don't tell me that the high schoolers don't look at those state rankings and they know who's out there, so they'll take the best shots from everybody. You mentioned Espinoza and Rubenstein. This Cal Bickle, Parker Woods, they got a number of guys who continue to do the right things. And like you said, Eric Sprague in his 3rd year, you know, he knows when you got a senior class like this, no matter what sport you're talking about, it adds, I think, a little bit of pressure to a coach and a coaching staff, because when you got the horses, you need to win the race type of deal. Yeah. And I get it. You know, in some ways, you've already won some races in the sense that you won the district race, if you will, to continue the analogy with, you know, horse racing and baseball here. But when you got those guys who you can count on, Espinoza and Rubenstein are top tier Division 4 pitchers. You could throw. They've been competing against D1, 2, and 3, besides just D4 at their own division. So this group has what it takes. And they last year lost in the regional final, so they at least want to get back to that spot. And this was a program that has never been to the state tournament, so they got a chance to make even more history. And
it comes down to what we've talked about with this Napoleon team in football, in basketball, right? They're playing these higher talent Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 teams all throughout the regular season. So you get to this Division 4 and you even the playing field, but it's not even. It skews in Napoleon's favor because of the plays they've played. You know, you talk about the horse race, and you got Trey Rubenstein. He's your American Pharaoh. He's your Sea Biscuit. Owen Espinoza right behind him. Parker Woods, guys that we talk about in every single sport for Napoleon. 5 p.m. That's why you come here, right? You come here for your horse racing knowledge. We don't need baseball. Right. We're talking about horses. Looking for the Triple Crown, move their way to the regional final if they can get that win against Benedictine tonight. But now it is time for our game of the week, brought to you by Dunn Chevy in Oregon. Hit it, Cisco. This Ottawa Hills team, another group we've talked about, they got the horses in multiple sports. We've talked about it. And here they are, the only 1 seed versus 1 seed matchup here in the Division 5 bracket. Ottawa Hills taking on Worthington Christian. Of course, you're riding a winning streak as you get to this point of the playoffs. Worthington Christian on an 8-game winning streak. But man, this Ottawa Hills team, hot. 4 straight wins, 34-0, the score differential. They haven't given up a run yet in the playoffs.
And I've had a couple of those games, and I'm going to tell you something. A stat for you. Reddick Pillarelli, their leadoff hitter, on the season is 50 for 52 in stolen bases.
Good grief.
You got to keep him off the bases. I'm going to be very interested to see who Chris Hardman goes to the mound with today. I think he's going to go with Toby Stevens, and I'll tell you why. If I know Chris, he's going to want to save Colin Hennessy because he feels Coldwater is going to come out of that other game. I look for Ottawa Hills to win today. I think they've had 3 losses on this season. Do you know who they're 2? St. Francis.
Yep.
Anthony Wayne.
And guess what? Clay.
Yep.
They've played a big-time schedule. I think it's their region to lose. And I think he's thinking, Chris Hardman, we're going to state, and here's how we're going to go. We're going to start with Toby and then come back with Colin. I'll be interested to see. I think Ottawa Hills will win that region.
Yeah, we talked about it all season long, and Justin's brought it up multiple times. Chris Hardman not afraid to test his guys.
No.
Right? Play the best of the best, because this is where you want to be. I want to not shy away from a 1 seed when we get to the regional semifinal.
Yeah, this is interesting, the picking your number 1 or number 2 pitcher, and do you pitch them in the regional semifinals or the regional finals, or next week in the state semifinals or the state finals? Because in general, I think a long-standing adage has been, you got to get to the finals first, so you throw your number 1. But we saw with Anthony Wayne that they didn't throw Owen Graff. It was clear-cut their number 1. So, again, an interesting point there. So basically, it's going between Toby Stevens or Colin Hennessy. So that would be the situation there. But this 2023 Ottawa Hills team went to the state semis. 2024 district finals. 2025 regional semifinals thus far. So a lot of veteran players who are upperclassmen were a part of those deep-run state teams and district finals teams that came up short last year. 737 wins by Coach Chris Hardman. This is a team going from D3 to D5. So it's a new, fresh look of teams for many, many teams on the baseball and softball side. 4 teams in Division 5 in the state top 10 are still alive. So 6 have already been bounced. So another wide open division as you look forward to states. Sam Newcomb and Scoop Miller will be on the call for this. But I like how Ottawa Hills just does everything right. The little things right. They play solid defense. They back up outfielders when they're going to make a play in the gap. They're just consistent. They'll bunt runners over. They're smart on the base pass. It's one thing to be fast, but you can get thrown out even if you're fast, if you don't get a good jump, if you don't get a good lead, et cetera, et cetera. But Toby Stevens, Pillarelli brothers, Rocco and Reddick, Jackson Snyder, Colin Hennessy, Ian Densmore, contributors in more ways than one, up and down the way, whether in the dugout or out on the field, out on the base pass, out on the mound, in the outfield, infield, back up at the catcher spot. So all that type of stuff contributes to a successful program, and that's what Ottawa Hills has.
Reminiscent to the situation we just talked about with Napoleon, where you got these guys, right? This is your chance to strike while the iron's hot. We've talked about it in football with Ottawa Hills too, right? You've got this generational group of guys. Go win while you got the chance. Let's see if that works out for them tonight. Keep the shutout streak alive. That's my hope. What goes better with playoffs than wings? I can't think of anything. Let Buffalo Wild Wings let you know. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
I've saved so much money enjoying Buffalo Wild Wings BOGO half-off traditional wing Tuesdays. I can finally afford everything I've ever wanted in life. Wings. All I ever wanted was more wings. So yeah, buy one, get one half-off traditional wings is the perfect deal for me and my lifetime yearnings. I value it more than literally anything. Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's go sports bar.
At participating locations, not valid with other offers or discounts. See website or app for details.
We love Games List. Yes, we do. We love Games List. How about you? Midas Games List. It's full on a Wednesday. You don't see Thursday on there because we got a lot of moving parts going on, all right? Wednesday, plenty of baseball action. We talked about basically everything you're going to see up there. Perrysburg, Clay, St. Francis, Napoleon, Ottawa Hills, all in regional semifinal action tonight. And the Fish fly north. They're taking on Trois-Rivières in Game 3 of the Kelly Cup Finals. We're going to forget about Game 2. Not a good time. You shake that off. Take your lessons. Here we go for Game 3. And then you see Friday, Game 4 will be up in Trois-Rivières. We need to make our way back. We don't want to wish a loss on the Fish, right? But one more loss, brings you back to Toledo if you secure the Kelly Cup, right?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to all these games that we just broke down. And with the quick turnaround here on a Wednesday with our podcast airing at 4 o'clock, we're going to get some of these previews out a little bit early as maybe if you're a fan or a parent of someone going to these games, pull us up on your Spotify, pull us up online, and listen to our game breakdowns because no one else in our area is doing what the BCSN Nation podcast does. Bruce's great knowledge, Alyssa and Sarah's great knowledge on the softball side. Tell your friends, listen to us on the way to the game as we preview these matchups and showcase these spring sports athletes who deserve all the recognition just like fall and winter athletes.
And Justin's great knowledge. Look at him being humble, not bringing up his own name. We got plenty of action coming up tonight on BCSN and BCSN Plus. There'll be more playoff action Thursday and throughout the weekend as we hope our softball teams advance as well. And of course, make sure you don't miss out on the Walleye 7 p.m. on BCSN. Shout out to Danny's Cafe over in Rossford for giving us all the sponsorships there. Make sure you're following at Justin Feldkamp. And make sure you're here 2 p.m. on Sunday for BCSN Honors. See who brings home all those awards we've told you about. We'll see you right back here next week. We'll wrap up softball season. Until then, see ya.